This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
So I'll call this meeting to order here. The first thing is to approve the minutes from last month's meeting.
Indeed.
Do I have a motion?
I'm never sure how anal to get about this kind of thing. I have a couple of potential edits. Okay. First, I'll just kind of put them out there and see what you think, and then I'll make a motion if you want. So both in section 5, paragraph starting with talking about our quarterly reviews. He was referred to as a public safety council, and I don't know if it's.
Oh, did I? Is that what I wrote?
Yeah.
I will amend them and then resend them to.
I mean, I'm happy to just make a motion to amend, and then move to approve.
Okay.
The amendment.
If that's all right. The second thing is in the last paragraph of that section, there's a sentence that's like suggested we tune into prior meeting minutes. And I'm assuming it's supposed to be go. Suggested we go into prior meeting minutes.
That was
It's
about.
just like a typo.
Did I say look into? Is that what I wrote?
I think it's supposed to.
It could be. It could be supposed to be that.
After this meeting, please send me the reminders so I can amend them. So I can.
Would you prefer to just do that and then tackle the next meeting? Because I don't have a preference.
I don't care either way.
I guess we should try to amend them and then approve them.
So I would make a motion that we change.
I have something to say. Connie had mentioned that we need to have them done within 30 days. And our last meeting was on January 13th.
Yes.
So I would think that we should just move them.
Okay.
I will fix the language.
Okay.
And I'll make a note. It's one was public safety council.
Let me just kind of put the motion on record here, and I'll make sure to point you in the right spot. So I'd like to make a motion to amend section 5, paragraph 2, to say public safety committees instead of public safety councils. Okay. And then in section 5, paragraph 4, instead of Councilor Denham suggested we tune into prior agenda packets, what we say Councilor Denham suggested we look into prior agenda packets.
Okay, yeah, that's a typo.
Am I allowed to second things or not? Yeah, second.
Second amendment.
Yes.
Second amendment.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And then with those amendments, I would move to approve minutes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, good, we got that done. All right, so now we have public speak time. Hello, would you like to speak or?
This is great. My name is Greg Daddick from 22 Pine Hill Road.
Okay.
I've been a resident for almost 40 years, 26 on Pine Hill. The other one was in Overlook. Love it. You know where that is. I do. Great community. Everything is great. Easthampton is evolving. I kind of talk too much. I'm going to land the plane. What my biggest concern is, which is obviously with most recent newspaper articles, horrible things that are happening coming into Cottage Street. I'm kind of accent. That's why I was going to come to speak about the lighting. The Christmas lights are gorgeous, but I was thinking they'd be down by now. They're not. They're being. You have to pay a company to come and leave those Christmas lights up for the holiday season. They are gorgeous, but my biggest concern is the lighting. When they're gone, you got the blinking flashing lights by Amy's. But throughout the summer or night, where Easthampton is obviously becoming a destination. I'll land that too. we really need to look at better lighting permanently, not just for those Christmas lights. I know they're all over the common, they're on the roadways. My God, they're up still. Why are they still up? I thought they'd be down by January 4th, but they're still up for whatever reason, and they're gorgeous. And I know Easthampton has to fund so much per time the company comes in and sets them up. So my biggest concern is the lighting. I love going through the town. Actually, it's like everybody. Okay. Whew, you drive. You know what I'm saying. It's just, it's not an easy street. So if you could put some thought in mind for the budget, maybe soon or not, permanent lighting of some kind. It'll just enhance the businesses that are down there. It's going to keep people coming. And I know I'm not alone, but I know this was beginning of Cottage when they got hit, or even sort of the top and made that turn, and there's a flashing light, or Nini's there. It's still, because it's such a busy business area district now, it's getting bigger with the new development. You need to improve the lighting. Now, if those Christmas lights come down, that'll be a whole different story. I wish there could be some engineering involved to make it better lit. That's my first concern. I have a lot of correspondence with Lindsay and through Jason about this, and Lindsay said if the company comes, it costs us $20,000 to do. Like, I can appreciate that. I can't believe how much it costs, but wow. And then I know they will be coming down in the near future, probably, because Easthampton Town doesn't own the lights. This company that comes in and puts them up will be taking them down. And here we go. Here we go with the dark. The lights are flash, but there's people that don't follow the flashing lights. They don't go through the crosswalks and just dart through it. I'm in a wreck going through the center of Cottage Street, going through. The paving is gorgeous. What they've improved on is outstanding. I'm celebrating even to this second, but I have to be careful going through town with the lighting. And you'll all probably agree, and I know you're all part of this. Maybe something could be put on the plate to maybe do something with some sort of electrical, or they come on and off during the day. I don't know. There's something that has to be done for safety. The biggest thing is what? Safety. The other thing, I'm holding up, is I live on Pine Hill and Torrey, Glendale, Lodville. I proposed something way back with Lindsay regarding the intersection. And I'm trying to, they call me the squeaky wheel, and that's okay. I'm the squeaky wheel, but I'm still going through that. I still dread going down that road because it says 35, but you know what 35 is? Probably like 40, 44. You make that turn on Torrey to cross over to Glendale, or go down Lodville. The people coming up that hill like this, you got to go, okay, hold on, everybody. We got to floor the car and get up that hill. They just see outside. But you have to be aware of the traffic. They just fly down that road. I live off that road. I go it every day. I said, all I'm proposing is reduce the speed limit. Have a sign saying, reduce speed ahead. 30 miles an hour. Just to get the word out that is a dangerous intersection ahead. Reduce speed ahead. Dangerous intersection ahead. Reduce speed ahead. Whatever. Put a sign up. I know you got these beautiful four-way stops on the West Street there. Outstanding, by the way. Outstanding. People are thinking of safety. That corner, that turn, people just don't know. They go, oh, let's just go. But if you live, anybody familiar with that road? You take it. It's a very dangerous intersection. And now I'm thinking about its safety. Getting over that at night, you're lucky to make, hopefully a car has its lights on. A lot of people don't drive with lights on. I don't know why. It could be dark. They still don't drive. I'm yelling at cars, man. Put the lights on. But people don't drive with lights on till they decide, oh, I'll put one now. So safety is my main concern with that intersection. I live off of that. I say just reduce the speed, have signs on both ends coming into that curve, the very, very dangerous curve. And all I could say is they could be addressed. It could be just putting up a sign. Maybe they got to have a vote for it. Why can't you slow people down? It's a very, very easy thing to do. I'm not saying put up a solar panel with flashing lights, but maybe some new signs. There's plenty of room for signs. Reduce speed ahead 30 miles an hour. Ooh. Or have it yellow or whatever. And what are you gonna do? You're gonna have people slow down, hopefully. I know it's a far cry. You can't go 20 or 25 because they're gonna still go over, but I'm thinking maybe 30. Everyone could take their thoughts on that.
Yeah, so let me tell you just a couple things. So for public speak, just so you know,
Okay,
we're not allowed to
okay.
interact with you. So
Tell this is my
this is like
third
the
time here.
rules, right? So we can't interact with you or
Oh.
like comment on your ideas.
Okay,
But I
Right.
will tell you that our next public safety meeting, which is March 3rd,
okay.
we are having Greg Nuttleman. He will be here
Oh.
at 6 p.m. and we'll be getting a quarterly report from him. And at that time, we will be able to talk to him about these different things. Cottage Street is just definitely on our agenda to talk to him about where that stands and what improvements might be made. And then we will also be able to talk to him about this intersection and another intersection as well.
Wonderful. I'm sorry.
have,
I didn't mean to get off track.
Oh, no,
I
that's
know, I know we can't interact with them, but is it the intersection that we have on our agenda? Is it the same
No, that's
intersection?
a West Street. But at the quarterly review, we're allowed to get updates on anything that we're wondering about in the city. That's like a free-for-all kind.
I think it's fair though to seek clarification just to make sure that we do understand the
Yeah,
intersection we're talking about.
where exactly are the cross?
If I'm interpreting this right, because you've mentioned Loudville, you've mentioned Torrey,
Torrey.
and I know that's
He
kind of,
goes- So you take a right on Troy, but
Yeah.
coming up Glendale, from the Glendale Ridge to Winery,
Mhm.
come up that hill, you gotta come up your cars like this, and then you have a stop sign. And then cars are flying around that corner. At 35, that's what speed limit, they're not going 35. You guys know that.
If I'm allowed to say it. So it's just Loudville and Torrey. It's
Loudville and
Torrey
Torrey.
on both sides.
Correct.
It
Oh,
turns
Troy
in-
on both sides.
It turns into Glendale and Southampton. So Loudville and Torrey is what he's
and I
talking
know
about.
exactly.
I'm
where
sorry,
we're at.
I think it was Glendale because the winery's on that same road. But thank you for
I
correcting.
know exactly what you mean though.
I think Amanda's inviting you to come to our next meeting.
Yeah, so I'm saying that if you come to our next meeting, or even if you don't, we can still talk about it
I know,
at the
just-
next meeting. We will be able to talk about the lighting situation because we do want to talk to Greg Nuttleman about Cottage Street specifically, especially with all the accidents,
Oh.
pedestrian stuff. And then I don't think we have this one on our like list of things that are coming up, but it's good to have it so we can ask him about that as well.
That'd be great.
And we will also ask you about any accidents or things that you
Thank you for,
have going on there.
and I'm a player.
No, you're totally fine.
I don't know when I'll wait. So the next one is gonna be on your, web,
March 3rd.
March
You
3rd.
could even log in on the web to.
Yeah, I did it all the time.
Yep, or you could come, same time, 6 p.m., same place.
Okay,
And so
and it's gonna be here.
it's gonna be here. So what we are doing going forward is we're meeting with like, the chief of police 1 month.
Okay,
Then we're gonna meet with the DPW director the next month. Then we're gonna meet with the fire chief the next month and keep rotating it that way.
Okay.
So that way we can have conversations and ask these questions that residents are coming to us with.
well, thank you for
Yeah.
updating me. And I don't want to, well, you're taking there's a lot of these. I may just hang here for a little
Yeah,
while.
you're welcome to
Because
stay
I
and
just want to
listen.
hear what you have to say about stuff. But thank you for letting me
Yeah.
overspeak my
Oh,
time.
don't worry. It's totally fine. You didn't. I just wanted to make sure you knew the open meeting rule that
Thank
we
you.
are not allowed to.
Thank you very much.
Engaging conversation.
Yeah, which is
I'm
hard. It's very hard. It's like the law. So anyway, all right. Do we have any public speak online? It does not appear that we have anybody online. So we can move from public speak. We don't have any new business as of right now. So our ongoing business, our first thing on the agenda is the quarterly review from Chief Alexander. So we would love for you to give us a little report on how things are going on your end. And then I think we do have just a few questions from the staff.
Well, thank you for having us. It's Chad Alexander. I know we've all met. Dennis Scribner's my deputy chief.
Hi.
So just to talk about our department, before going into that, hopefully I'm not outside the rules, but I can tell you regarding the Torrey and Loudville intersection. So while signage, changing speed limits, none of that's in the purview of the police. One thing I can offer is, because this is actually on my list, it wasn't first, but since taking over in June, with my deputy chief, addressed like our staffing and how schedules are filled. One thing we were able to do is add a permanent traffic car. So what I can do is I can have, that's Officer Scott Gove. He is fantastic at what he does. If you have any complaint, whether it be the smallest minor traffic related issue to major speeding issue or an ongoing thing, he'll listen to everybody and anybody and address it. One thing I'll do is tonight before I go home, I'll email him about that intersection. And another thing we can do, we have 3 grant funded light up sign speed limit boards. I'm sure you've seen them around town. Little tough in the winter. The batteries die a lot quicker. There's snowbanks to contend with. They have to get mounted to street signs, which we can't have poles added in the winter. Obviously, DPW, they'll add, if there's no poles for us to mount to, they'll add them in the summer for temporary. But if there's any, just trying to think of the intersection, I don't know if there's any very close, but we can have at least that sign deployed here so people can see their speed. But just talking a little more about traffic. This time of year, obviously accidents are a big concern with, visibility. We talked a little bit about Cottage Street. Big problem with that, aside from everything that's been talked about over the last several months, years, my whole lifetime with Cottage Street. There's just so much going on. You drive down there right now, going on a Friday or Saturday evening, going into nighttime, you have people everywhere. You have cars parked with snowbanks and everything. DPW is doing a great job moving the snow. You'll have cars parked all over where they're a little out in the road. So you're making sure you don't hit that while you got people coming out in the road, snowbanks to contend with. Visibility is a real issue on that street. But my officers are pretty dedicated to being out there. And a lot of times people think, oh, cops are sitting there wasting their time. They must be on Facebook. But in reality, we're watching the crosswalks. We're watching for other things. It could be violations like inspection stickers or people not paying attention, which I don't care. I don't think there's a spot in town you have to pay attention more than coming through Cottage Street. So if we see somebody looking down at their phone or messing with this or that, that's what we're doing out there, is making sure people get through that section safely. But Officer Gove is a great go-to. He's been a great addition, or that position has been a great addition for us. So I'd recommend anybody with any traffic complaints to reach out directly to him. Talking a little more about staffing. Last year was very tough for us, and particularly this fiscal year. We had 2 retirements last year. We were able to backfill. We have 1 recruit in the academy now with the police reform. The academy, she's been in since November. She doesn't graduate till May 7th. So about halfway there. She got about 12 to 13 more weeks. She's going to be a welcome complement to our department. She's a smart, young, eager officer, grew up in town. She knows the community well. She's going to be a very good fit to our police department. We just had an officer come back 2.5 weeks ago from I believe it was a 400-day deployment. He's in the military. He was in South Africa. So all that said, our budget took a beating between overtime and having to fill all those open positions for that long. So we're really looking forward to her getting out of the academy and getting back to us, and then bringing our complement of 30 full-time officers back. So we'll be in a good spot going forward. Next, I wanted to bring up, I know I talked a little bit about like snowbanks and stuff, but I know this is probably more of an ordinance committee thing, and I don't know if any of you are on the ordinance committee, but our duty of clearing sidewalks.
That is public safety, I think.
It is, and our department, if anybody has a complaint, first and foremost, call our non-emergency line, report the sidewalk, an officer sent out as soon as an officer is free to observe the sidewalk, make contact with the owner. We attempt to speak with them first, say, hey, look, this is the bylaw. Can you please get it done? Work out an arrangement. If they don't clear it, technically the city ordinance, it states if the sidewalk's not cleared within 12 hours of the storm coming to an end, they could be subject to a fine, which is a $50 fine. The second offense within 3 months is how it's worded, is another $50 fine. And then finally, the DPW would be called out. Now, luckily, I don't remember the last time we've run into where the DPW had to go out and clear the sidewalk. But there were a couple of interesting issues this year and a couple complaints that came into city councilors. And we had one day where it was just chaos at work. So I actually got in the car myself, went out and looked, and luckily the sidewalk had been cleared, but it had taken like 3 or 4 days. And it's a street that has a couple people with disabilities on it, really needed that sidewalk cleared. I don't know if it's ordinance or not, but I brought a copy for each of you, the ordinance, in case you haven't seen it. But if you look and read it real quicker, you'll see after just reading the first two, really it should be cleaned up to say something to the effect of, if it's not done within the amount of time, $50 fine, and then maybe an amount of time in between, because it's not really clear. Like, if it's not cleared within 24 hours, do we go back and find them again, or do we have to wait till the next storm? So I think the language just has to be cleaned up a little bit for our enforcement action. But luckily, like I said, I don't remember the last time we've enforced this. Most times we go to residents, we express, the concern. Most of the time it's a complaint from a neighbor, and we explain the reasoning, and they, oh no, I just forgot, or I didn't think the storm was that bad. They get out there and handle it. But just to have it on the books, that's one thing that we've noticed that could maybe be cleaned up a bit.
I read this a lot in the past couple weeks because we have gotten so many different emails from different residents, and I agree. It does feel like maybe it needs to be a little more strict for the second offense. And also, is it 24 hours for the second? Yeah, you're right. This is an ordinance one, but it is definitely along. Yeah, we should definitely pass it along.
As far as complaints, though, sorry not to cut you off. If you all are getting complaints Counselor Peak and I have a great working relationship. We've known each other for years. He got that email. He emailed me within 3 minutes of opening the email. And I think it was 4 or 5 minutes after that, I was in the car driving to look at what it was. So I can't guarantee it'll always get done within 5 minutes, but if you're getting complaints, report them right to our dispatch and, or encourage the resident to, because it's always good that we can maybe, ask some questions. Some of these sidewalks are a little bit weird, or there's some that they're unmarked, unofficial sidewalks, but because they're always usually cleared, residents are used to that. So by having the resident reach out directly, an officer, they can touch base with them, stop and talk to them, and the homeowner that needs to move the snow. And we'd be happy to address that.
I have a question. Was this the email that was sent out today?
Nope. I didn't get it.
I pay a lot of attention to social media. I know Jonathan does it. He's not on social media and stuff, but I pay attention to group pages, and I kind of try to see, because that's where most of the complaints happen. They don't happen in official capacity, and stuff. So I'm wondering, this person probably emailed their precinct counselor instead of, at large. I'm at large. He's at large.
Yeah.
Your precinct. So I'm assuming that's why I didn't get that email, but there was an email sent out to everybody today, but that's a housing authority issue.
Okay.
But there was some discussion. I had appointments directly before this meeting, and somebody from a housing authority was there and stuff. Or it wasn't a meeting, it was more of we were just meeting with somebody. So yeah, this has been a topic of discussion.
Sure. But yeah, I'd recommend doing that, and not really on my agenda or anything, but you said social media, and that's the biggest complaint. One thing I would stress to your constituents is, contrary to popular belief, our officers, when there's only 3 or 4 of us working a shift, we're not sitting around looking at Facebook all day.
Mhm.
So I'll get home from work and my wife will be like, "Oh my God, what did you guys, did you see this?" And no, I don't know what you're talking about. So I'd recommend, if people don't want to email our department, we have anonymous tip through email. You can leave your info if you choose to. Call our non-emergency line. If you prefer to go through social media and you want to see something done, urge them, interact directly with our Facebook. We have our lieutenant he
Send a message to the messenger.
Sure,
Yeah.
his phone, and I believe the deputy chief's is still.
Yeah,
If somebody sends a private,
it's not the most efficient.
It's
We
not.
cannot catch it for.
5, 6, 7 hours.
It's definitely the least efficient. However, instead of, I know there's all these like
Airing their grievances.
and I get it. But if anybody really wants to see something done, doing the message, I'm not a big social media guy.
Messenger,
A messenger or
Yeah.
whatever. There's a much better chance that the police can receive it and address it.
That's what I usually say. I say, send me an email.
Yep.
Send me an email because I don't want to handle most constituents' concerns in a public forum. It's much better. You get somebody
Sure.
one-on-one and talk about something specifically. So I encourage people to send email so-and-so, email me, spell out the details, then I can just forward it on to the relevant department. But I'm new. I'm trying to, get used to this whole thing. So, but I do pay attention to a lot of what's going on in the social media, the Easthampton group pages and stuff like that. So I at least hear the complaints, even if most of them don't come per
Like
official email,
officially?
which I prefer. Like, if I'm going to address it, I don't want to make some comment that can be construed. I'd much rather receive an email and be able to handle it that way.
On the topic of snow, can I ask a question? Are you guys the ones who write the tickets when there's a parking ban?
Yeah, so what happens is the DPW orders the parking ban. So we pump that out as much as we can. Our department social media, the city social media, Code Red and all that. If the DPW goes out to plow and they turn onto a street and there's cars parked there, they radio to the police department because they're tied into our dispatch. They radio that we need vehicles moved on Main Street. Our officer will go out to Main Street. We make our best effort to try to make contact with people. Even during a snowstorm, we'll punch the license plate number in, and if it's registered at 123 Main Street and there it is, our officers will get out and knock on the door. Our officers, depending on the time of day and night, but for some even late at night, which some neighbors don't like, but if there's a bunch of cars, blue lights are on, hitting the siren to try to let people know, like, hey, look out, there's something going on, please move your car. Last case scenario is, yes, so to enforce and to be able to tow it, it has to be ticketed for the violation, and then it's removed by one of the two tow companies in town. So that's only when the DPW is doing snow removal.
Now, I'm just looking at my phone because I just want to refer back to something. If someone were to come out, even though the ticket had already been written, and maybe they had to put their baby down or whatever, and come out at the very last moment to be like, oh my gosh, I'm here, I just figured this out. Do you still have to give them that ticket?
No.
Or is it okay?
No.
So I do think that there are some officers who are choosing to still give the ticket.
If that happened, so I'll look into it myself
Yeah.
or my deputy and have them reach out directly to me. Our first initial last name at easthamptonma.gov. They can email, give me as much detail, and we'll look into it. We'll talk directly with the officer. That's the beauty of, we have body cameras and
Yeah.
everything, so we can see if that did indeed happen.
Okay.
Then we can rectify it with the city clerk.
Okay. I'm gonna forward you then a recent email to see if we can get that rectified.
I have a couple of associated questions
go
to
for
them.
it.
if that's
So do
I
okay.
did have
So do I.
one more associated. Is
Oh,
that
no, don't
okay?
worry.
And then there was also a thing about, so are you in charge of who writes up what the actual codes are? Is that something that the chief makes sure is in compliance with the tickets? So you don't want a ticket, there's there was a violation within an intersection, the different parking tickets.
Yeah, they're all right in the city, under the city ordinance.
Here.
So I guess there's no 17.
There's no 17.
But for some reason, there is a 17 on the actual ticket. And so there's some concern about that,
Needs to be added,
that it needs to be in the ordinance.
something like that.
Yeah. I don't know why that wouldn't have been put in there, because that's been I've probably at least the last
The
20 years.
tickets and the offenses never changed, but city council adjusted the fines.
No,
It's not in here.
Their city ordinance book doesn't have
With 17.
Snow
17.
emergency.
It stops at 16.
Interesting. It's
So I
always,
think-
snow emergency's always been.
No, I have no doubt that parking
Yeah.
ban, the argument isn't that there shouldn't be.
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
It's that it's just not simply.
Yeah, so I suppose that would have to go, I'll talk to the ordinance committee. and see why that's not there. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
weird because,
So we're gonna be doing sort of a whole review of this particular appendix, just for, updating language to the modern times. And so we'll get to this section eventually. And I imagine it might be under our purview to kind of make a change there, but
yeah,
something
because
that's brought to our attention.
we actually, so I don't know who actually has our ticket books made up, if it's the treasurer that orders them. It's weird because they collect the fine amount, the fine money, and then they use that to order the ticket books. And city council just, was it this past July? Just changed all the fine amounts. They used to
Yeah,
all
that's what I'm
be,
talking about.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I don't know, that wouldn't, be on there.
There's something corresponding to it. And I'm sure that's what you're gonna talk about next, Jonathan. Section
1-30.
1-30. I'm wondering if the language needs to be changed. An A and B is, it says, emergency unloading, 1 a.m. to 6 p.m. from November 1st to April 2nd, but it's not saying it's about the snow necessarily, though I know the tickets are kind of following under this.
Yeah,
But there's not just a general street parking ban for those days, is there?
yeah.
There is,
Yep.
it's just not enforced.
First, no, yeah, so actually, and it's funny because we were just talking about this, because there's actually signs if you're coming into town that says no on-street parking, November 1st, April 1st. We only enforce that if the DPW asks us to in the event of a snow emergency or snow removal. So
So,
technically, there's, there's not supposed to be any on-street parking between November 1st and April 1st.
at all,
Right.
even if there's a parking space there
Overnight.
during these hours.
So, correct.
From 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. So a lot of people park their cars in front of their house, whatever. But you're basically just not enforcing it because
We only,
there's no reason to.
and trust me, none of my cops want to write a parking ticket.
No.
We don't want to get out in this cold weather and to write a parking
Okay.
ticket. So we'll only go on at the request of the DPW.
And is this 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. right here unlawful to park in parking lots?
Yeah, that's newer. That was added, I believe, 2015, so 10 years now. So that was because they were running into an issue,
It's just 5 a.m. to 7 a.m.
Yep. and that's all municipal lots. So, Cottage Street municipal lot, this municipal lot, and the, public safety complex, perhaps a council on aging, I'm not sure, but, yeah,
That's for plowing, I
I
assume.
think the intent behind that was for snow removal,
Yeah.
snow clearing.
Yeah.
It's not, we don't write.
we don't enforce.
So there is a parking ban, it's just not enforced unless it's snow. Got it.
I see, my feeling on that is, if we're not enforcing it, I kind of feel like that shouldn't be on the books.
Maybe it should say during a declared parking ban. or-
Exactly.
Yeah, I think the language should be changed.
Specification there.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Like maybe it needs to be like within 3 weeks of a snowstorm or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
rather
I
than
don't
the whole
think,
November
I mean,
date.
I guess technically it would probably be thrown out, but I mean, you could have an officer that's just like, feels like being a bad guy, whatever, and just like tickets all the cars in between these hours. Not that, I'm not saying he would, but legally he would be within the right.
I mean, it'd be a hard thing to, I think, appeal, because like.
Be
if
an
you-
argument.
But like you could stop that bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Like you could be like, hey guy, this isn't cool. Like
Yeah,
don't do
and-
that in this town.
In the last 23 years that I worked here, I've not known one officer that went out and looked to
Yeah.
do that. So yeah, the municipal lots, I don't know if that was the only reason. You'll find other things that are in there that all stemmed from issues, I guess I'll say. So like technically there's no overnight parking on Shop Row is what, like from Young World Childcare through the hairdresser.
Yeah.
The reason being, when Silver Spoon used to open up at 4:30 or 5 in the morning, all the residents would be out there, so they'd have no business parking. So that's why they created that law. So our officers, we used to enforce, that's one that we would enforce.
Yeah.
Because Mr. Doyle would be on the phone with us at 4:30 in the morning saying, get your guys down here, I got cars out here, and yeah. So that's like there's certain
certain ones.
caveats that or laws that were enacted for specific reasons. But yeah, if you choose to act on
I
that,
think
that's
that the November 1st to April 1st used to make sense when we would have the kind of snow we used to have.
I mean, but even so, I mean, if it's still triggered by a parking ban, then
When it's actually
do we really
enforced.
need to specify that?
so. And again, I'm just here to offer like the police advice. I would recommend talking to the DPW director on that too.
Okay.
Because it could be written into the law for specific reasons to him to make it easier for him to be able to do his job.
Yeah,
Because if we get a snowstorm, just playing devil's advocate, comes out of nowhere, and now people don't think they're gonna plow because it's only 2 inches, but they have to, so they ask for towing, but it's not on the books. Where does the responsibility lie?
And I think a
So I
lot
would
of times
talk to him.
they have to come into different streets and do them a second time, and that can take like weeks for them to move the big piles of snow.
So fun fact, tomorrow, the east side of Hoyoke Street, every
Yeah.
street that on the east, every side street's getting cleaned up. So they're putting out a parking ban specific just to that neighborhood, tomorrow, starting, I think they're starting regular business hours. So.
Yeah, I saw that.
But I kind of, I feel like, thinking about this in a big picture way. I mean, first of all, like I want our rules to align with
Yeah,
kind
definitely.
of what's actually happening.
Yeah.
But also, like there are people who live in Easthampton that just don't have access to off-street parking, and so this is sort of, I see this as something of an equity issue in that they are kind of inherently just always at risk from during these months. And of course, if we got to clear the streets, we got to clear the streets, and like that's why the parking ban is an important mechanism. But I think it feels
Yeah,
like
no,
You don't want
Makes
junk
sense. Get that
vehicles
in
just
here.
parked there all year long.
The DPW sends the parking ban to like WWLB and all that kind of stuff too, right?
We do also.
And we, through our social media, like when Director
I see
Nullman,
that.
he'll put
Yeah,
his
yeah.
out, we'll share it to ours, and then we tag all the media outlets. He does all that stuff.
And so if I
We
can,
need two
Yeah.
new store teams.
Yeah,
that
that's
they
what I was
follow on
wondering.
page.
So they should be posting it on the like closings and delays
Yeah.
tab. Yeah.
I
on their
I saw
website.
earlier they had posted today's ban for the west side of
Mm.
Hoyoke Street.
Okay,
They had posted it yesterday.
great. Go ahead.
So just returning real quick to finish wrapping my head around the violations. It sounds like theoretically, if we were to dig back into some old meeting minutes, like from the last time that this was all updated, somewhere, something should refer to code 17. It didn't just like come out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
So at some point I wonder, like,
We can do that, just update the,
I wonder if it accidentally got dropped out or what the deal is. I feel like we got to do a little bit of digging to see what happened there.
look at it. I mean, it almost seems like it's $50, right? $50, then $50, and they're not.
Well, so that's the snow.
Oh,
removal.
no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Parking tickets, I believe it is a flat 50.
It's a
Now-
50, but then you also have to pay for the tow.
Right.
It does not seem right to have I think is what you're saying, like to have the ticket be going, but not have it on the
Right.
books, right?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely need to fix that.
And do people appeal to where do they appeal to?
To the treasurer's office. The clerk, I keep wanting to say city clerk, collector's office.
Wow. So if they were to appeal the ticket in this time period before we fix this situation,
Yes, somebody was very aware of all of this. Before.
if it's not on the books. And it does seem like it maybe makes it invalid.
I don't know.
But I mean, I guess I would leave that up. to
I'm not a judge,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
I was trying to dig back. As I was sitting here kind of preparing for the meeting, I noticed something that was just like a blanket $50 ticket if somebody is parked someplace that they're not allowed to be. And it seemed to exist kind of outside of the violations. I wish I could find it. I'm sorry, I didn't write it down. Because I wondered if that was like
Might be that.
the basis for all of this.
So I'm wondering if they just, I don't know what
It didn't transfer.
the council would have done to change it, to have it added as a separate issue. I mean, technically you could write it if we had to, just, again, we don't go out looking for parking.
Yeah, yeah.
If we're not parking, please, we just have to issue them to be able to have the authority to tow. I mean, technically it's a restricted place. We could say,
Right.
I think it's number 11. I haven't written a parking ticket in like 8 years.
Restricted place, 11.
So it's a restricted place.
Got it.
If we want, but
I would,
I don't know what the clerk would decide, but if it was me, hey, you went on a technicality.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. We have
We need to fix it, but
Bylaws,
maybe you
restricted
should
place.
park it 11 in the
Yeah,
future,
mark it
maybe.
11 until we get it.
Yeah, and I'll look back to just make sure somehow it didn't go away, because like I said, I remember that from at least the last 15 or 20 years being.
Wonder if the city clerk would have an old copy of the ordinance before it was fines
Yeah.
changed. See if it's a clerical issue.
Yeah. Gotcha. Maybe just got cut off.
Yeah, we can follow up on that tomorrow.
Thank you.
I have non-traffic.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go.
On traffic, okay.
I mean, no.
Finally,
I feel
get out of
it's
the
been a
traffic.
big thing lately,
No, I
the traffic.
absolutely agree, and so I wanted to make sure we covered those things as well. Okay, cool. So I just wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about the elephant in a lot of people's rooms in Easthampton, which is obviously what's happening with federal agents in other parts of our country. We've received, just general concerns from folks. I think looking for a place to kind of share their fears and look for, reassurance. And so, I'm aware of, the welcoming city ordinance. I was reading that. I have a sort of follow-up question related to that. And so I know, action has already been taken. And I'm not sure that there's a whole lot for the council to necessarily do to expand upon that in the here and now until we do begin to see escalation in closer to home here. But I wondered if you might spend just a minute kind of talking about, what your experience has been on your end, whether or not they have, you had any contact from them, regardless of, how you've responded to that. To kind of to take, a little bit of the veil off to have some information that we can kind of share with folks to offer as sort of a reassurance.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So as far as ICE contacts in Easthampton that we know about, so number one, first and foremost, we don't work with them. They don't notify us. If they're coming to town, we don't know. We know of 2 times that we were able to confirm through our social media detectives that they were here, and we found out well after the fact. One, I remember they came early in the morning. It was started at 7-Eleven. They stopped the van on Center Street. This all happened before 7 o'clock in the morning, and Mayor LaChapelle was calling me at 6:30 at night, losing her mind, saying, "Why didn't you tell me about this?" And I'm like, "What am I not telling you? I don't know what you're talking about." And we had no idea. There's a few reasons that, one, they don't really work with any municipalities in Massachusetts because there's a few reasons. So Easthampton specific, we have the Welcoming Community Trust Ordinance. That is drafted in 2019, reaffirmed last year in 2025 that we won't assist ICE. We can't assist ICE in their civil operations, and we don't ask your immigration status. If we arrest you, we don't ask you. It's not one of the booking questions, and we don't ask you. Aside from our city ordinance, and that being a reason that we don't work with ICE, is the Commonwealth versus Lund decision. In 2017, a man with the last name of Lund. It's kind of a long drawn out thing. I'd highly recommend reading the case, but that was kind of the bedrock for Massachusetts municipal law enforcement agencies, what they can and can't do in Massachusetts. Essentially what Lund decided is we enforce criminal laws. We don't enforce civil law. We don't serve you divorce papers. That's not in our purview. So to act and assist ICE in a civil detainer, we would be acting outside the scope of our authority. We don't have the right to. If we are to arrest somebody, again, even without the welcoming community trust ordinance, we never asked immigration status. It's not part of the booking process. If somehow the federal government found out, oh, hey, they have John Smith under arrest, we have a civil detainer. If they call us, if we take 10 minutes more to do the booking process than we're supposed to, because they say, hey, hold on, we're going to come get them, we have a civil detainer. We can't. We do our booking process, we bail them, or we ship them up to Hampshire County Jail, which is our policy and our procedure, and that's the end of it. If we were to hold them any longer, we could be held civilly and criminally liable for holding that person any longer than we're supposed to. And I'm not going to jail or losing my house because the federal government says hold them for 10 minutes. So I don't really know of any like point blank way other than those are law and ordinance reasons why we don't and won't assist ICE in their civil enforcement. I don't know how much like more clear I could say, like, aside from everything that our department has offered, and trust me, I know first and foremost, I have friends that don't like police just because they're police, and they'll tell me, and we'll banter about it. We're still friends. They don't agree with what I do, and that's the end of it. Some people you're not just going to convince to like the police or what we do. But if anybody that knows me and knows they can take my word, we're not working with ICE. We're not here to help them. That's not our job. Our job is to keep everybody in Easthampton, all our visitors and all our residents safe and prevent crime and solve crime. And the federal government, they can do their thing. One last little kind of caveat on all that. So I know a big thing was like, well, what about with Worcester, and what about with, somewhere else out east where the police had to intervene? That was a situation that was getting tense, and that was going to end bad, like we saw happen in Minnesota. Those police taking the tactics and what we saw in the news out of it, they were called in for a completely separate reason. They weren't there to enforce civil action. They were there to try to keep everybody safe from an escalating situation. Massachusetts post law, so under Chapter 6E, Section 15, that covers so post is like police reform and the police officer standards. That covers the duty to intervene law. So if ICE were to come to town, if our officers are called out either by a resident, by the person that was the subject there, whatever reason, if we see ICE acting inappropriate and using excessive force, we have the duty to intervene then. Aside from that, we are not allowed to intervene with federal enforcement. If they come to town and they're doing their job, we cannot intervene and stop them from doing their duty. They are completely separate from us unless it falls under 6E, Section 15, where we have the duty to intervene.
Where, in layman's, they're breaking the law, basically.
If they're
when
using
they start breaking law.
excessive force. Yeah, if somebody has their hands behind their back and somebody just starts punching somebody, we have the duty to intervene now under that law, or we can be charged as the police officer.
As a bystander that doesn't do it. What's that thing where you're a bystander that doesn't step in to stop a,
It's like a higher standard.
Yeah, so like it's under ours, it's called the duty to intervene. Where if we see law enforcement using excessive force against somebody that obviously shouldn't be
even your
happening,
own officer, yeah.
That's why the law was written. This was written during police reform in 2020, back long before we were worried about what's going on in Minnesota. It was and listen, everybody's human, and luckily we haven't had to cross that bridge here anywhere really locally that I've heard of. But if an officer in Easthampton is starting to get a little too aggressive, it's the duty of the other officers that are there. If you see 3 officers there, it's not always because, oh, something really bad's happened. No, it could go bad. Or if it's getting bad, the officer, it's our job to say, hey, that's enough, and end things peacefully.
That's often why people, you see videos or whatever, they ask for a supervisor or they ask of the chain of command because they have specialized training or de-escalation tactics or, somebody's.
So we're all trained in de-escalation. The training in Massachusetts, it's the very good thing. We spend countless hours above and beyond what is required under the post commission training in Easthampton, and conflict de-escalation is every year is something that we train on, and I feel like we do an extremely good job. We have, I don't want to misspeak, but I don't remember an excessive force related complaint since 2020 when police reform happened. So yeah.
I have a question. So do you feel like your officers are prepared for, like, God forbid this forever to come to Easthampton, like a situation like what did happen in Minneapolis with, like, the ICE people not allowing paramedics to come and all that kind of stuff? That would be a situation where you would get involved at that point.
Oh, 100%.
And do you feel like you guys are prepared for that kind of, they would be dealing with kind of like a hire, but not a hire, like?
Yeah, so it's a big, I don't know what the right word would be, misnomer. They're not hired.
I know they're not hire, I know.
They just work for a
Who
separate
wants to be
entity.
hire, though?
Like, the state police do their thing on the
Yeah.
highways, the federal government does their thing. We protect our city of Easthampton.
Yeah,
Yes. To just answer your question, one answer, yes.
okay.
Does it worry me that we have 3-4 officers working at a time covering the whole entire city, and they're coming to town, in Minnesota, where they have 3,000 now? 3,000 on 4,
Truckloads, yeah,
that could get a little different, but
everybody's right in.
we have mutual aid agreements with every town around us in the state police. We have other avenues of help that if we ever need it, but
And
yes.
officers could be, like, called from their beds or whatever, like, do you guys have that whole situation?
that's why both our phones are, we're not rude expecting calls from our wives or anything, or the kids, that if the
Like,
phone
even
rings,
not
he's
on
got his
duty
radio.
ones? Yeah, okay, if something, like, were to start escalating.
Yep, so,
This topic came up at the Western Mass Chiefs meeting this morning, obviously, but it was addressed by the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, like the state level authority that was present at the meeting, that in that exact circumstance, the state police are always available, from across the state if resources are overrun. We have, I would say, exceptional working relationships with every police department as far as you can see around here.
Mhm.
We help Hoyoke out. If we need help, they come over, Northampton, Southampton, and we work with the state police all the time.
I just do I want to say that, more of a compliment thing, that, I know you went through appointments, you went before appointments before. I know they asked you a lot of questions with ICE and stuff, and they kind of hit you from every direction they possibly could. And I can tell you from some former city councilor, you can guess, that you got very, very glowing reviews and that you really handled yourself with that. I've also heard from, who I mentioned before, Andy Covington, who's the chief prosecutor around here, that Easthampton and I think Amherst probably have the best police departments. So you can take that as a feather in your cap. Obviously, I know Dave Sullivan. I'm the chair of the Dems still, so he's on that committee and stuff. But I just want to let you know that whatever you're doing a good job.
it's good to hear. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we really appreciate you, especially in this, like, really.
Yeah. I'm ready definitely for this part of become history.
Yeah.
I see, this is some concerns. Like, I know that we don't have a huge immigration pocket within Easthampton. Certainly, I'm sure there's a few that, don't have documents or et cetera. But my concern more broadly is that I think you even listed in part of the documents said to me, like, people are less likely to report actual crimes, things that are happening, especially within immigrant communities. So everything kind of, they're not going to come to the police because they're afraid that there might be some repercussion. And that's what concerns me the most. Do I think that we need to put the violent criminals in jail? Etc. Of course. You know, I mean, I don't want psychopaths walking around doing stuff. So there's not really that complaint. But when the federal government in particular extends their power and starts brutalizing U.S. citizens, but then detaining folks who pay taxes, have even went through the immigration process and stuff, it sends a very chilling effect across the board with everybody, immigrant communities and citizens alike, that like, we can't trust the people in uniform. And I know that you guys don't wear the ICE jackets. I know you're not part of ICE, but you know, uniforms look similar, right? They wear police things. They're not actually like police per se, but they put big slogans saying police, but they're not necessarily police because they don't deal with criminal matters specifically. But it's just, that's what, besides, like, I don't agree with a lot of stuff politically that's going on. It's just my political opinion. But besides that, I think that it's actually making communities less safe with, because people aren't going to report violent crimes. They're not going to report, you know, drug deals in their complex or whatever, because they're afraid to have any contact with police asking names, asking questions. Anybody with a badge is going to be seen as somebody that can't be trusted. And I know that Easthampton is a very, very small city. And I know that you grew up here pretty, right?
Yep.
So you know, yeah, you know folks in town, you know the streets, you know who's having problems, and if somebody's acting a little crazy one day, talk them off the ledge. You know how to get that. Not all the time the handcuffs necessarily need to come out, even though, you know, it might be a situation and stuff. But that's what concerns me more broadly with the federal government's extension of its power. But I'm just grateful to know that at least my local police department has our back, more or less.
Well, that's interesting you saying that. So that's the one thing that we don't want to happen, and that we haven't really seen happen here at the local level here in Easthampton. But we, not only Easthampton Police Department, but police nationwide, worked so hard over the last 5 years to rebuild strength and trust and transparency and trust within the community. And it's definitely not helping the climate and the national climate. I just hope it stays, like I said, we haven't really seen it here. We have the same, you know, mutual respect from all the same people. We haven't seen people turn us like we did back in 2020, where all police were vilified. Then
Right.
It was an interesting and a very tough time for all of us, all of our families. Like, it was a
Yeah, you're the
weird,
bad guy.
it was a weird time.
Yeah.
And we hope that doesn't go that way. And luckily it hasn't really, we haven't seen that yet, but it's definitely not helping.
Yeah.
So I agree with you.
Well, I appreciate your frankness, you know, along these lines. It is, you know, it's a very heated issue and difficult to, I think, for a lot of people to discuss. There's a lot of fear, as I mentioned, kind of around all this. So I appreciate being able to have an open, you know, honest conversation about it. I had one other question, which is, I noticed in this ordinance that there is a section on reporting requirements. And that upon written request of a member of the city council, that a report will be created on a number of topics. And I'm just curious if that has ever happened since the passing of this ordinance.
So I've been the chief since June. So
Okay.
it hasn't since June, and I don't recall ever hearing about any of that. But if you,
Would an example be,
yeah, actually, what are you looking
yeah,
for?
so-
is it mentioned like car accidents or something?
I was just curious. I was contemplating whether or not it'd be worthwhile to submit this request, given that clearly don't have interactions with ICE and have probably
Yeah.
very little
Yeah.
information to provide. But what it says here is that for the immediately preceding calendar year, we could request the number of civil immigration detainer requests submitted to city officials by ICE or any other federal immigration officer or agency, as well as the reasons for that. Sounds like you've heard nothing from them.
0.
The number of individuals that city officials have detained pursuant to a judicial warrant requested by ICE. Sounds like they don't submit those requests to you.
No.
The number of individuals taken into custody by ICE who immediately preceding that had been in custody of city officials. And then the last one being the number, and actually I'm not exactly sure what this is referring to, but the number of requests received for certification for U visas, the number approved, the number denied, and the number still pending.
So again, 0. U visas they're like an added protection if you're a victim or a witness to a crime and you're an undocumented or an illegal immigrant, then you have protections under the U visa law. That's what it is. That policy is right on our website. I'd be happy to share it with you if you wanted to look at it. It's right up at the top of our policy portal.
Gotcha.
That's been a policy long before, probably before ICE was even created.
Sure.
I do have a question. So I'd like to know when you go out for a call, right? Do you usually bring an officer who has like a like a social worker kind of background? Because I know you guys have some now that
Yep.
are social workers.
So we have one, quickest and easiest way to explain this. So we have one, Emma, she started off as a co-responder. We were able to work with grant funding, ARPA money, the whole slew of funding, some out of our own budget, and she is now officially in our department as a civilian, but she is the police department or a city employee, and she is the mental health and wellness coordinator for the city. Aside from that, we have a co-responder through CSO that we share with Hadley. Right now, we're in between co-responders. We had one, Ellen Little. She was fantastic. We had a great relationship with all our officers. We didn't. CSO just hired a new one, and I don't even have the name, but they are starting in the next couple weeks. And to answer your question, though, yes. So if either of them are working and it's any call, so their main reason is for any mental health related call. But if we're going to do death notifications, or if we're going just simple well-being checks on an elderly person, they have different avenues that they can offer through CSO to get resources to people. So it's not only for mental health, but if they are working, yes, they're call responders. And a lot of times, right now, because budgets and we're so short and we're running our shifts at a bare minimum, if you see 2 people in a car, it's a good chance, unless it's me and him go to a meeting getting a coffee together. If it's in a cruiser, it's a co-responder, and they're not always going to calls. They'll ride with the officers. And it's kind of a nice outlet because we're able to talk to these people and we get to know them as friends. And it crossed my mind a few times that I'd be talking and be like, they're totally doing the shrink thing on me and trying to make sure everything's going good with my life, with my home life, family, kids, everything. And it's like, so yes.
And do they often go to like domestic violence ones as well, or?
So they will, but they only will get out once the scene is safe, and only if it's to offer services. They're not there as any form of backup. We don't put them in any form of danger, but they see it all. Yes.
I think that I'm good.
That
I'm
kinda covers it for me.
satisfied.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you being here.
Yeah,
and
thank you
taking
so
the
much for
time
agreeing to come
to
in.
field all of that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I know I've said it before. I know there's open meeting laws and everything, but I strongly, anything's bothering you, phone call, email. I check my emails sometimes if I can't stand if the kids are watching at night. I'm checking emails at 8 o'clock at night, and I might even respond to you. Just don't hesitate to reach out. Or if it's pressing, any of our officers can handle anything at any time. And we're here to serve.
So we hope to see you in 3 months.
Yeah, so you don't happen to know, like,
I do have
We
it.
do.
in
It's
my
going to be the
calendar.
first Tuesday.
So I actually put all the dates in, and I keep meaning
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just.
Feel free to come back.
So you're gonna
Should be taking notes.
Well, there will be minutes
See what's
posted.
happening.
Thank you.
I
Yes.
salute you and your officers always. Thank you for letting me speak for too long.
I'll come back anytime for police
I would
time.
love to hear more other people talk too, so.
Yeah.
This was a little different.
Our
Thank you so
Public
much.
Works next
Good
month.
seeing you, Mr. Baddock.
Yes, thank you.
May 5th.
May 5th, perfect.
Cinco de Mayo.
Next week, we're away at a mandatory training, so the 5th is perfect.
Cinco de
And it's probably-
Mayo.
I'll keep an eye on the time. I'll
Yeah,
throw it in
6
here.
p.m. and we're gonna be here. And yeah, we're hoping that people can feel like things are more transparent, right?
The meetings are gonna be a lot more regular.
And if, people are asking questions that you feel like, oh, that can wait, then maybe it'd be a good thing to bring up, only because like, I don't want to come back and be like, well, have the same staffing issues and,
Yeah.
we're still doing accreditation, we still have a traffic
Yeah,
car.
yeah.
So yeah, if you think of anything or,
Yeah, I think it's a good place for us to ask questions that we're getting from residents too.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless they're pressing, obviously.
yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
Awesome.
Good with, us and anything else on your agenda you want?
Yeah,
So actually, you know what, right before I take off, your agenda.
Yeah.
So I worked with, I don't remember, it was JT and I forget the other counselors, like the West Street.
Salem and Brad.
Well, so was Salem.
Oh,
But-
Owen.
But then he
Owen
came
was-
off and
Owen was
Owen
on.
was there for a while, but the West Street.
Yeah.
I don't know, is there a reason it's staying on the agenda? Cause we addressed everything from the police end of it. I know DPW, yeah, so
Okay.
just to give you some insight, so it was an ongoing issue
We're
with
all new, so.
yeah, so it was an ongoing issue with, and it was speeding, and it was at certain points in the road. One was further down by the bend where it turns to 25. We stepped up our enforcement huge. We deployed one of our speed signs out there a bunch, and we're actually looking at grant funding to get one permanently mounted. Just before the state is offering grants right now, and we just applied, so we'll hear in a few months. Problem areas like that where it goes a minimum of a 10-mile-an-hour drop all of a sudden, and that one counts because it's 35 to 25. So really hoping, based on the data and everything we submitted, that we'll get that. But we increased signage. They painted fog lines down the whole road.
oh, nice.
The only thing that I know residents were asking for, they were looking for a raised crosswalk halfway down.
Yeah,
DPW director's like, that's several $100,000 in studies and everything. So
okay. So
I
it
just
sounds
don't
like
know if,
Might be resolved.
we can move
Might
to
just-
move it, right?
I think it makes sense to talk to the DPW director about it. And
Sure.
then
Talk with
do
him
that.
next week and then.
And then I think
decide.
so, because my understanding was that was related to sort of the project getting the four-way stop between
No, but
at
it
West and.
wasn't.
so when that went on, it was actually about it was mostly speeding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, that's really good to know.
Yeah.
Do you mind just typing a little email and sending that a little summary of what you guys accomplished? Or just that, is that too much
That
work
we
for
from the
you?
police did? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll say signs were added. That obviously was DPW's part.
Yeah,
And the lines, they added fog lines. That was DPW, but I'll put all that in the email and then you can maybe just confirm with the DPW director
Okay.
that.
perfect. Thank you so much for telling us about
Yeah.
that. 'Cause we were wondering
I
about
have a
that one.
question. Are you gonna be at the city council tomorrow?
Sure.
I have a do you think he could say something during your time
Oh.
about that? So he could just talk about it then or no? I don't know. I don't know.
West Street?
Good question.
Yeah, West
That was
Street.
a
So the-
specific item.
I would just, I mean, I will, but I would just, if you want to just confirm with Greg first that they're done with the signs
Okay.
with that and they're not, they're
We'll
definitely
put it
not
off.
doing the
Yeah,
hump.
we'll put it
Yeah,
off.
we'll put it off for
Like
another
for
month.
the police end of it, I'll definitely speak to, our increased signage that we applied for a grant for permanent light up speed signs, shows what they're doing. But as far as all the other stuff, that was DPW's end. I just don't want to step on toes and say,
I
we did it
understand.
all, and Greg say, no, we didn't. So,
It's good. It probably just got lost in the shuffle of a lot of changing
Yeah, a lot of
people on the
change.
committee.
Sure.
So thank you for telling us that because we were wondering what the situation was with that.
We thought it
Clearly I misunderstood.
last meeting, we thought it was because on the if you're going towards Easthampton to the new stop sign, I guess it could be somewhat of a blind, like, I guess, I don't know. But
Yeah.
I was guessing that was the issue, but maybe. You can see it going away from Easthampton for half
Yeah.
a mile. And on the West Street side, so you can see the signs too. But I was thinking maybe from that side,
I think the DPW, I thought he added a warning sign, like stop ahead.
maybe.
I don't know if it's lit up, but.
Okay.
But I know West Street was definitely, because there was a few meetings where we had more West Street residents in a public safety committee hearing than we had up for the city council hearings. So, yeah, they were very nice and very good, and they were appreciative of everything we did, but it was a good little project for that little community and all of us, so.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, but yeah, I will be there tomorrow. I wasn't planning on
I
I don't have anything on the agenda, but I'd like to pop in and at least make the beginning. And
we'll talk to DPW, then maybe you can do a little spiel about it.
And if he wants to hold off, I can even do it after it, whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe after next month.
Either way.
We'll also talk to Connie.
Yeah.
How to do this. Yeah.
All right.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thanks so much, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right. So continuing ongoing business. So that those traffic rules and orders to add amend. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
for coming in.
Indeed. Which
for
is
it.
that, I imagine once we've kind of had our initial meetings with all the departments, that they won't take so long. And so I feel like my capacity for kind of diving into that work right this second feels limited. But
Same.
what I would love to do is kind of, maybe we could just talk about a plan a little bit. If you're interested, since I had 30 minutes here, unbeknownst to myself, to do some prep, I went through, there are 10 different articles, 2 of which are way longer than the rest. Article 5 is 16 pages, Article 7 is 13 pages, everything else is like 1 to 3. And so,
Oh, because it, you know why it's so long? Because it lists all the streets.
but there may very well be some language in there. You know, we kind of need, I feel like we kind of need to go through everything.
We're gonna need a map.
And so I guess I'm not sure what my suggestion is for how to plan, but I wanted to put that out there for the sake of this conversation.
So we're trying to update the language. Is that what we're trying to do here?
Yeah. So it
Yeah, so-
specifically says update the language to add, amend, or remove language that is absent, outdated, inconsistent, etc. So it's pretty broad.
Yeah. We're gonna need more than one set of eyes, which is probably.
We want to pick like a number of sections for us to go. I feel like we need to each go through it and mark things and then share what we marked, right? That would make the most sense.
That makes sense.
I almost, other than gendered language, I don't know exactly what I'm looking for. I guess I would have to read all of it.
I think that's the thing, yeah.
But I think it would be hard to read all of it at once.
So if we were to say, you know,
Do 10 pages.
if we did sections 1 through 4, that would be 8 pages.
Yep, it
Um,
would.
And then we could kind of come together and then work through the edits that, like collectively work through the edits.
Just
that
make
we found.
notations of things that could be changed
Like on our own copies. we can-
on our own copies and then bring them and see,
Yeah,
compare notes.
exactly, yeah. And then, you know, it would kind of take us as long as it's gonna take us. You know, we can set, look at what time we start and kind of go from there. We might not get through all 8 pages if we have an extremely robust conversation. Greg knows it, but it'd be a place to start anyway.
Okay.
So we'll start with sections
1
1
through 4.
have those prepped for next meeting.
It feels pretty doable, I think.
Fair fair enough.
Because it's, again, it's not like a lot of them are partial pages. And I think once we've done the first pass on this, we'll have a better idea of what we're looking for. Kind of talk about that. But I did know right off the bat, remember, it did not take long to find the gender language also.
Yeah. All right, that sounds like.
He has his badge.
Yeah, exactly. I'm inclined to just err towards they in all cases.
Yeah.
They have their badge. and That's fine. It's better than his or her.
Well,
Yeah,
because I think if
Because
it
then
has to
that's
be
leaving out people
he,
too.
she, they, we'd have to list.
Just
all three.
remove all gendered
Yeah.
language. Everything would be they or there.
All right. So we have time for that. And then we talked about the roadway infrastructure and pedestrian safety items. I feel like that maybe we want that to be combined into the quarterly review. How do we want to deal with this item?
I think that we should collect our own gatherings, and since we're going to have the Department of Public Works next time, since this seems to be almost, for the most part, all fall within Public Works, we can kind of make a bunch of notes and do our own information gathering and ask questions like we did tonight, and then revisit that again.
I guess this is our
It's a
time
living
to
body,
Bring
so
up, right. This is our time to bring up any new things that we're hearing from residents, right?
yeah,
But we did that already tonight. Or were there any more that people?
Sort of,
had?
yeah.
sort of.
I didn't have anything else.
I can tell you, I did, when making minutes, I don't know for, but I wanted to give you an update on, the sidewalk
Yeah.
thing. I remembered to email Greg Nettleman this weekend while I was writing minutes. It jogged my memory. And I watched the entire thing again to do my minutes because I noticed how detailed my minutes are compared to my other thing. Yeah, so because it's a different body, Jonathan.
Mhm.
So
Way more serious.
it is. It is. I
am
mean,
serious
like
about that.
immediate. But so he wrote back. Let me pull up the email.
But I think this is kind of the perfect time for like these kind of updates and like if we hadn't had that conversation, like the parking ticket issue, I think would fall under this.
Okay. Good morning, blah blah blah. I'll read you his email. Okay. We generally replace and repair sidewalk auxiliary set of words.
Mhm.
Okay. Ancillary. Okay. Gotta go look at my thesaurus. To a larger project. We are currently working on infrastructure asset management plan for paving that will prioritize roadway pavement and rehabilitation and preservation. Using this plan, we will be establishing somewhat of a roadmap to guide paving efforts over the next several years, and we'll be doing everything we can to fund sidewalk work where possible as part of these paving projects. We will take a look at the sidewalk in the area of 2 Holyoke Street this spring to see if there's anything that can be done in the short term to alleviate some of these concerns there. Also, we are working with the planning department on a grant funding effort to improve the intersection of Holyoke, Clark, Cottage, and Chapel. I don't know where Chapel is.
That was the thing that the mayor brought up at our last city council meeting, where he said there's gonna be some work that's gonna be starting in the spring or summer at the Cottage Street intersection.
I do remember this a little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
I think we definitely need to ask about that.
and could possibly include replacing the sidewalk with that project if successful in obtaining funding.
I think was Director Nuttleman I think he was at the meeting virtually and maybe spoke to what was happening with Cottage Street a tiny bit.
but just a tiny bit.
But it'd be right there. That's
Yeah.
where it would be.
I think, Chapel might be that kind of, you like veer off to the left.
That's actually driving up here, veering off to the left. That's actually Stone Path. That's what's called. He might have just said the wrong name. It could be a typo because that would be Stone Path. I'm thinking there's no chapel around there. There's Maple.
It's a big map.
Yeah, we need the map.
Although Maple's like
It goes on the
on the
other
other,
side.
you know. Oh, is Chapel
It's like Clark, and then I think
the
Chapel
street
is
that connects?
in the-
I live right over there.
Isn't it like Clark is here, and there's the church, and then the other one there, isn't that?
That's Stone Path.
Is Chapel the one that connects Cottage to Maple, maybe? That like Maple School,
Oh, it
Maple
is.
School is on?
Is
It
it?
is, it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm looking on this map
I
right
have the map up.
Also, for the record, ancillary just means something that's kind of done secondarily to a larger kind of.
That's Chapel, yes. It's where Maple Street School,
And that's when they're doing the new,
that little short
potential.
stretch.
And that's also the work, the
Okay.
area that a lot of people have been talking about, the
Yeah.
kind of really dangerous part of Cottage Street. I wonder if that
Yeah,
includes
people
any
fly
lighting,
around that corner.
right? I wonder if that work that they're potentially doing.
Yeah,
includes
because the
lighting.
work would be right there. I mean, it'd be adjacent to it, but I don't know. But I'll contact in the spring and see if I can do anything. So that's that.
All right, do you guys feel satisfied?
Um,
Or do you have another one you want to bring up?
no, I mean, I can always send you an email and you can add it to the agenda, but we have a kind of a broad roadway infrastructure and pedestrian safety items, so that's kind of covers everything.
So I
Right.
think you probably know the answer to this. If we want to like try to work on something, like big time work on it, like State Cottage Street kind of safety, if we really want to like go at that a lot, we have to first write a resolution, or not a motion or something. What is it? We have to write something. Bring it to the committee.
We have to talk to the
full
planning
council.
department.
It depends on what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Like if we want to have them do some type of like a study
Mhm.
and like make a plan to fix this, right? First, we have to like bring a resolution saying that we want them to do that, and then that has to be sent to our committee, right?
Yeah, so I'm gonna offer an example of something that maybe will help eliminate this, because we just had a resolution that we passed that had come through finance related to accepting a park grant for the skate park, right? And so the resolution was essentially saying that yes, we as a city will accept this grant. And then we had to vote, like make a motion and vote to give the authority to kind of like the mayor and the treasurer, et cetera, to do the things that needed to be done to borrow the money, spend the money, submit the applications, all that. But that was an existing project that we were kind of facilitating through, the bureaucracy. I think before, and this is just my perspective, but before I think we dove into like, these are plans we want to make to address this. And it sounds like there's some stuff, all that we're talking about here that's kind of already in motion.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there must be kind of a study as a part of that.
Yeah.
I think I'd be hesitant to say, especially given the impending kind of financial reality of things. I would be really hesitant to be like, we should fund a study to do this. If it's something that we already kind of have in motion through our departments.
Maybe we need like a meta analysis of what we already have in motion.
Like, what
Like
do
a
we
ta-
want?
What is
What do we
already
want?
in motion? Like bring it all together, because it seems like it's not very clear what is actually happening.
Which is where I think these quarterly reviews are really going to serve us, because they should be sharing those things.
Like the lighting this man said,
Yeah.
like as a safety concern, like, I mean, yeah, it might be a real problem. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know about how we would initiate something like that.
neither do I,
I'm not even sure if it's within our purview to initiate something like that.
neither do I. I think we can make a recommendation.
But I mean, I think through our conversations with the department heads, I mean, they're the ones doing the work, right? So, it'll give them, we give them sort of the ideas about like what is important, what matters to the community, and then I see it as sort of like their job to kind of figure out how to put the
Yeah,
pieces together to like make that happen. And actually, I feel like I'm a little off of the agenda at this point, so sorry about that. But for like that particular resolution related to the grant, like that language was very specific, and that was actually kind of put together in part by the department because they knew
Was,
exactly.
Sounds good. So we can just keep asking the questions while we're meeting with the quarterly review things.
I'll know what I'm doing eventually.
Yeah, well,
Eventually, or not.
I don't know, I feel like this
Just
committee is
in
kind of
time to run
hard.
for
It is.
Right?
I thought that it'd be like,
Yeah,
it seems very broad, right?
yeah, and it seems like it's almost like we have to like put it back together. But we don't really know what the pieces are.
Yeah, because it's basically defunct, kind of. It's kind of like not meeting. Like I think twice, maybe 3 times last year.
I do have something that I think I'd like to talk about that I will reach out to you about maybe putting on an agenda because it doesn't necessarily fall under these things specifically, but your comment about the broad scope of our committee made me think that. Yeah, I mean,
Do you want to adjourn then?
there's nothing like
Yeah,
there's
Say
nothing,
that.
like, ridiculously
so we have our
pressing.
next meeting, March 3rd. We all filled out the phone meeting.
Yeah.
So take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.